This is a home workout program designed to be from beginner to intermediate level, depending on which exercise variation you decide to do. The program should take 20 to 40 minutes, depending on how much time between sets you do and which difficulty of each exercise you choose. So the first thing we're going to do is a quick warm-up to get some blood flowing. Going to go over every major movement. So the first thing we're going to do is just body weight squats. No need to get too extra here, try to throw too much into it. It's just a warm-up. So the major things are going to be make sure your toes are facing forwards. You can kind of turn it out a little bit if you need to, but you don't want to go too far out. So keeping the toes forwards, go ahead and engage your core, engage your glutes. Now, it'd be easier to hold your hands out like this, or you can bring them in like this to make them a little more difficult. Use your core a little more. So you're just going to do 10 squats. You're going to bust through those, and then the next thing is going to be just simple push-up. All right. So if you need to do it for your knees, do them for your knees. If you got a bad wrist like I do, go from the knuckles. So a couple key points here. Same thing, core tight, glutes tight. You want to keep a straight line from the top of your shoulders to your heels. You don't want your elbows to go too far out, but you don't want them tucked in by your side. You want a nice 45-degree angle from elbow to shoulder. And you also don't want to let your shoulder blades pinch back. You want to keep everything tight up front. Try to keep a straight line from shoulder to shoulder that way too. So you're going to go through 10 of those as well. And then the next thing you're going to do is a sit-up. So sit-up's pretty simple. It'll be easier if you can tuck your toes up under something, or you can just do it out in the open. So not too much to cue here. One of the main things is not to strain your neck. So as you come and sit up, you don't want to pull with your neck forward. So a good cue I like to tell people is make an ear muff out of your hands, and that way you're not pulling with your neck, and you also don't pull with your hands. Alright, so go through 10 of those as well. The next thing you're going to do is Supermans. So Superman, most people like to do Supermans like this. Well, I like to do them a little different because to me that makes your head come up, that puts a lot of strain in the low back. So when I tell people to do a Superman, same thing, laying on your stomach, but hands back. So when you come up, you're still pulling with very similar muscles, but you're not straining your low back near as much. So you want to make sure your chin stays down. You don't want to tuck it in too far, but you don't want it up here. So each of those 4 exercises you'll do for 10 reps, and you'll go through that for 2 sets, and that'll be your warm-up. So then you'll start the major exercise groups. So the first thing you're going to do is Bulgarian split leg squats. So you can use anything from a couch or a coffee table. So with everything in the video, you're going to be able to use things found around the home. So of course for the basic stuff, you're not going to use any type of resistance or any weights. For the advanced, we're going to throw a little bit of extra stuff in there. So Bulgarian squat, you're going to bring your foot, 1 foot forwards, and 1 foot's going to be on the object. The way I like to tell people is, if you think that your front foot is out far enough, move it forward another whole foot length. Then your back foot is going to be up on an object, keeping your toe pointed, so you're not up here trying to rely on that stability, keeping the top of your foot flat. So when you squat down, sink your hips back, keep your chest up. You do not want to arch your back though. So you want to keep this straight line here. Head facing forwards, chin at a good level, and back up. That's going to be 10 times each leg. So if you're having a little trouble with that, you might want to move over to your couch where it's a little lower. And you can pull out something like a TV stand if you're having trouble balancing. Where you can have the hand of whatever foot is back. So if I was on this way, I'd put the little TV stand over here. And just don't go so deep, and keep your balance like that. If you're going a little advanced, then a good thing for weight, milk jugs. So see, mine aren't exactly even. I ate cereal with this one this morning. But you can do with anything. Any type of container with any type of liquid, or really anything that just has weight to it. So the reason I like milk jugs so much is they're kind of similar to kettlebells, where you can just hold them in a front rack position. So here you can just do your split squats with a little weight up top. You can even do them with weight down low. And if you want to get real tough with it, just weight one side. That puts a little bit more strain on your core and a little bit on your lateral balance. It just makes things a little more difficult. Okay? From here, you're going to go back to more push-ups. But this time, you're going to, again, if you need to do them on your knees, do them on your knees. If you can just do them regular, just do them regular. Or from here, we can even get a little advanced. So, 2 furniture sliders, you can do it with paper towels, paper plates, really anything that will slide on the floor. So, you can get in a regular push-up position, but as you come down, let one arm slide out. That's going to put a little bit more strain on the arm that you're leaning towards, and it's going to make you use a little bit different type of adduction on the other side to get a little bit more work in the chest. It's going to be a little more difficult. So then you're going to keep these, because the next movement is going to be a body weight lat pullover. So normally in the gym you would have your cables and you would pull down towards your lat to work those major lat muscles and the smaller stability muscles in your back. Well, here you can do a very similar thing just with your body weight. So, you know, let your knees slide back, and instead of pulling with your core like you would in a ab rollout, just pull with your hands. If you're doing it right, you'll feel a major pull right in here. You'll even feel it creep up a little bit, and you can feel a little bit in your triceps too, just for stability. If you want to make it a little easier, start a little outstretched, and then just do it one side at a time. So then the next exercise is going to be a starfish crunch. Now, the basis of this exercise is you start with your back flat on the ground, arms up to the side, and heels just off the ground. And as you do the crunch part, in any alternate hand to alternate foot. And every time you come back to the starfish position. So this is the most advanced form, is doing it this way. To make it a little easier, keep your knees bent, and then just come up and touch in your other knee. And that's how the starfish crunch is done. So then you move back, so we reset back to a lower body exercise. We're going to have glute ham bridge. So you're going to keep your feet together, knees together, about like this, palms down, head flat on the ground, and just pushing up here. So you really want to feel it in your glutes, in your hamstrings, and your calves. So if you're feeling it in your low back, that means you're not using your glutes enough. And if you're getting that issue, really push down with your big toes, and that'll help engage your glutes. To make this one a little harder, put your heels on the sliders or your paper plates as you had from earlier. Start in the outstretched position and come up. And that way you really feel it in your hamstrings a lot more. And you can also do other ways, like you can hold some type of weight here, and you can use, if you have somebody else that you're stuck in quarantine with, you can use them, or you can really use anything that has weight. Next exercise is going to be a body weight overhead press, so like a shoulder press. So for this, you're going to come, both feet are going to be up on your coffee table or on your couch. You're going to keep your butt up, not down, so that way you angle down more and really hit those shoulders. big thing here is going to be keeping that core tight, because if you start to get tired, that butt's going to come down and you're going to start arching your low back, putting a lot of pressure on that lower spine. So again, that's a pretty advanced way to do it. If you want a little more immediate, put your knees up on the couch, and then you can just do it this way. So like the push-up, you don't want to go straight out with your elbows, because that puts too much pressure on your shoulders, and you don't want to go straight down, because the same thing, too much pressure on the shoulders. So you still want that nice 45-degree angle so you can really engage all those stabilizing muscles. So the next exercise is going to be a prone overhead press. So very similar movement, but you're going to be laying face down. And I know I said I don't like reaching this way in Superman, but it's different when you come at it from this angle. So you're just going to be face down. I like to push my forehead and knees into the ground so I can really engage my core and not put pressure on my low back. And you're just going to do an overhead press. If you're having a lot of trouble doing this exercise, then you can just let your hands skim along the ground. You don't necessarily have to have them all the way off the ground. If you want to make it a little harder, you really don't need a lot of weight at all. So some water bottles will do. Or you can do a can of soup. Really anything that weighs 1 to 2 pounds is plenty of weight. Alright, and the last thing you're going to do is a side plank. So, very similar to a normal plank, just on the side. So, you're going to prop up on your elbow here. Feet outstretched, you want a straight line from the front of your ankles up to your shoulder, and you just pull up off the ground. So you're really going to feel that on the outside of your core, and maybe even a little bit into your hips and into your lats as well. So a good thing to do is to keep this front hand in front. You don't want to bring it behind, because then you're turning and you're using all low back. So I like to just put my top hand over top of my bottom hand and really just breathe through it. So this, you're going to want to count to 15, and that's going to be considered one set. So if you want to make it a little harder, elbow on the slider and bottom foot on the slider. And that's going to make you really want to have to use your core and use more of that lat and hip muscles to keep those sliders in place and not trying to let them slide out on you. So each exercise is you're going to go through the whole circuit 3 times, and every exercise is going to be at 10 reps apiece. So you should do 30 reps of each exercise, except for the planks. You'll do 3 sets of 15 seconds on each side.